The University of Abuja students from the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies have conducted a research and had interviews among themselves. There were also opportunities to meet with Ms. Benson, host and speaker of the popular program Money, Sex and Power, to discuss a critical issue affecting their community: sexual harassment. Sexual harassment, a pervasive and insidious menace, has become an all too familiar experience for many students.
A lot of things happened. A lot of hearsays, a lot of discussions from others. From your perspective, what really occurred that day?
After the class, Professor Mike approached me and he was like, at first I thought he wanted to discuss grades with me, and he said I should come to his office. I didn't think about it. So when I got to the office, he offered me a seat and closed the door. Then he started telling me how beautiful I was, and I got so uncomfortable. And he stood up, started touching me, and I told him to stop, that I was not comfortable with it, and he said he really likes me and he was just looking for the opportunity to tell me. So I told him to stop, that I don't like it, that I'm not comfortable with it, and he said if I try to struggle, he's going to kill me, or he's going to give me a carryover in his course. So I tried to struggle, but he was so strong, and
That's very sad to hear. I'm sorry on behalf of him. Well, after the incident, what was the precautions you took after that? How did it affect your daily life?
I didn't do anything. I was so depressed. At first I wanted to tell my mom, but I didn't know what she's going to say about it. Maybe she's going to call me and say, I don't know. I didn't do anything about it. I was so scared. And I don't want any of my friends to know about it because I just mock me.
Sorry to hear. Nobody's going to mock you. Things like this occur and we need to stand up for them. So after that occurred and the story came out, how was the reaction of the public or the people around you?
I'm so scared and I didn't know what to do. I tried to commit suicide, but I just cried, that's it. And my mom called me and she was trying to talk to me.
Through these candid conversations, students shared their personal struggles, experience and fears. The stories reveal the pervasive nature of sexual harassment on campus and the devastating impact it has on their academic pursuits, mental health and overall
So there was a lot of
well-being.
hearsay about what actually happened. Now that you're here, let us know what really occurred between you and Professor Michael that day.
Professor Michael is one of the best, my very good lecturers, because he usually calls me to his office to advise me about my academic performance and all. So on that very day, he called me to his office saying he wanted to discuss with me about my grades and things like that. When I entered his office, I realized the windows were closed and the curtains were drawn down. The atmosphere was so cold, but I didn't really pay attention to it because that was not what I went there for. Then I sat down for a moment, but he wasn't paying attention to me. Then I was about to leave when he shut the door and he refused to allow me to leave the place. I was startled at first. He started coming close to me. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I was about to scream, but he closed my mouth and he was like, if I say anything, because he knows how passionate I am about my academic performance and all. He said he was going to destroy my academic performance and bring me down. So I didn't know what to say because I was so scared and all.
How did the occurrence between you and Professor Michael affect you? How did it make you feel?
I felt so disorganized and heartbroken because I wasn't expecting it from him.
So what's the aftermath? What was your solution to the problem?
I didn't know what to do because I just kept
But there are
quiet.
voices that refuse to be silenced. Students brave and determined are speaking out against this scourge, and leading the charge is Ms. Benson, host of the popular program Money, Sex and
I'm
Power.
Kay Benson Ahibi. Nice to meet you, Ma. So, Ma, you were one of the extraordinary hosts of this program, Money, Sex and Power, and funny enough, we also had something that's related to this. I would really love to ask you questions concerning some particular viewpoints and perspectives, if it's fine by you.
I'm here.
So, Ma, the first question is, how do power dynamics between lecturers and female students influence the occurrence of sexual harassment in academic institutions?
Well, power dynamics, say that again, then I can break it into two.
Okay, Ma.
Okay, let's break it into two. Power dynamics just simply means that someone has power or influence over the person and decides to use the influence in an abusive manner. Okay, basically, do you want to hear the truth? I'm a very blunt person. Number one, there are very many broken adults. Broken in the sense that going through their own childhood, there have been developmental gaps that they never ever took care of. So what happens, they find validation, which you call power, in having rule, having authority over someone who is not as powerful as them. They use that on the person, but it solves a problem for them, an unhealthy position. So that's the part of the power dynamics. So you say, how does it influence
the occurrence of sexual harassment in academic institutions?
Well, when someone is damaged and the person is trying to find ways to solve an inner problem, what he does is he will take advantage of other human beings and use them as tools rather than use them and see them as fellow human beings. So because he's trying to solve an inner problem, which he may or may not know, you find out that he goes from one student to another student. It's like someone who is stuck in a desert and you're looking for water, and then someone gives you urine. So you drink urine because you're looking for liquid. It's not necessary. So what we need to do is, I keep screaming that there is a high rate of damage and dysfunctional people in the society. If they do not take care of those, they will continue to use students as tools. And what is the outcome? It will continue to escalate sexual abuse in the
Thank you so much, Ma, for that perspective of yours. It's highly appreciated. The next question, Ma, that we'll move on to is, how does the perception of female students engaging in relationships with lecturers for academic favors impact genuine harassment cases?
Well, if you flip the answer, it's the same way. There are different ways to look at it. There is the parental part. There is also the self part. Let's begin with parental part. Maybe that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. You see, people's identity most of the time is tied to performance. If I do this, it means I am somebody. However, your identity or self-worth is not meant to be tied to achievement. It's meant to tie to I'm a person of value. So because your identity is tied to something that is not from within, so what you do is, in trying to score the goal of self-worth, they throw themselves as I don't want to call it garbage dump, forgive me for using that word. They throw themselves into anybody's arm to fulfill what they are trying to solve. Is a problem of identity crisis. However, the symptom is what we're seeing as throwing yourself anywhere for favors. The second one is similar to where parents are the ones driving the children. Let me explain. When you graduate from the university, they will say you have been found worthy in character and in learning. However, what happens is that parents forget that it's in character and in learning, and they drive their children on an unhealthy manner to achieve. So sometimes the student is trying to win the approval of the parents, who will not give love freely to their children except they bring good academic records.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. What policies should institutions implement to prevent and address sexual harassment fairly?
Most times the people who are supposed to implement these policies are as guilty as charged. So you find out that these policies are delayed because when you implement the policy, some of the people who are supposed to implement the policies are as guilty as charged. So there has been researches on these issues. It's not new. We now need people who have the willpower to say we're going to, it's not just policy, my dear. In my country, which is Nigeria, there are so many policies that today are adorning the libraries of many institutions that have never had the biting effect of implementation. We need people who have the backbone, the will and the power to say, let us implement this to make it happen. So we should talk about not the policy, but how do we implement the policies that are already there. There will now, everybody will say, okay, this thing has been implemented. In Nigeria, there has been laws against gender-based violence. But you find out that sometimes some people are strong enough to say go to hell. But other times people are petting issues. So we need to rise up as a nation. Let there be awareness campaigns saying these things are going on, and let the policies that have been done be implemented. And someone who refuses to implement it, but it should be punished. And there shouldn't be any scapegoat. It's not that I know you, I don't know you. If we do things like that, people see that.
Thank you so much, Ma. How can female students resist and report harassment, and what support should universities provide?
I think, first of all, there are counseling units in universities. I think so. Yes. If there is none, then we need to ensure that it works. And then as a society, when someone has complained about this kind of thing, the person should not be turned to, hear things that the person is practically turned to a devil for crying out, and then they make it look as if it's your fault and all of that. Remind me the question.
How can female students resist and report harassment, and what support should universities provide?
First of all, every female child must have his identity intact. It always begins with self-awareness. First of all, you need to know who you are, what you have, outside achievement and all of that. That is first of all. Secondly, we have talked about a policy, and the student would have seen that it's not just that we have policy, we're not just saying that we have policy. There has also seen people who have been punished because other people reported. Because if someone reports and the person is punished for reporting, every other person will be afraid to report. But if the person sees that whoever was reported, something was done, then all the other people, every other person will have the boldness to talk about what is happening. And we should stop shaming those.
After these candid interviews, Ms. Benson shed light on the experiences of students who have faced harassment. The stories, both heartbreaking and empowering, serve as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. This documentary is a call to action, a reminder that sexual harassment has no place in our academic communities. It's time for us to listen, to support, and to demand change.